Well, greetings everyone. It has been a while since our last update. This one finds me in Naarden at the International Theosophical Center in the Netherlands, where we have just this moment concluded a meeting with about 30 of our members, General Council members, and others. A meeting of the General Council, which we had begun last year as a strategic planning meeting, but which has actually morphed into an actual full-fledged General Council meeting. So that now we have two of them, one in Adyar in December and another one here in Naarden. This time it occurred June into July. So the point of this particular update isn't about Naarden. I'll be doing something on that in next month's, but just bring you up to speed on some of the things that have been happening. Just this last month, I was in Latin America, specifically in the Caribbean and Central America. And so I want to show you some things about that. The tour began with the Florida Federation of the TS in America, which was a fascinating federation because it took place on a cruise ship, the Enchantment of the Seas, which took us out into the Caribbean and on to the Nassau in the Bahamas, during which time we had our Federation meetings with a number of prominent speakers. Very good program. It was my first time on a cruise. It was very enjoyable, busy, noisy, and if you like activities and food, it definitely was the right place for you. But I'll show you some shots from that. But from there it was on to Puerto Rico for the meetings, a series of meetings there. And actually one of the more rewarding things that I found there was meeting with some school kids. We also did a similar thing in Costa Rica. But from Puerto Rico, we went to Cuba, which is a place I have always been anxious to see. It's the Theosophical group in Cuba is one of the oldest in the world. They've been around since 1905 as an official section. They are a very active and very strong section in spite of the fact that they have had to endure through communism, through economic blockades. Really, it seems as if in many ways the challenges have made them stronger in their dedication and in their commitment to this theosophical work. So I'll show you some things about that. That was really quite a highlight of this tour, and to meet with some of the people there and discuss some of the issues that relate specifically to Cuba. From Cuba, we went on to El Salvador, actually staying in San Salvador, and had a chance to have some meetings with the people and the group there. And from there, we concluded our trip in Costa Rica. Beautiful, beautiful country. Show you a lot of things there. They have a number of very active members and a lot of plans and a lot of thoughts. So just want to share some of these things with you. We have a lot of groups active in the world. There are challenges in whatever area we find ourselves. But some of the things that are going on in these groups that we'll be visiting in this particular update should be meaningful to you. I know that they were for me. It's a good group of people, long time focus on this theosophical work. So as always, I want to introduce you to some of your fellow members, and I do hope that you enjoy and appreciate. So our cruise began in Miami Beach when we left shore on the Enchantment of the Seas, a 2,500 person cruise liner, beautiful ship with all of the amenities. The Florida Federation, with its chair Nori Rao, was also co-hosting an event with the Inter-American Theosophical Federation. National Secretary of the American section, David Bruce, was one of the speakers. The coordinator for the Inter-American Federation is Isis Resende. Also on hand were Ariel Sanat, Scott Olson, Pablo Sender, U.S. Pandey, and myself. There were a host of activities on board, and there was never a dull moment. We closed the tour when we came to shore with a visit to Ram Kumar Singh and his family's home. Ram Kumar Singh is a member from India, but he has done wonderful things in terms of research on various historical theosophical subjects. From Miami, it was on to San Juan, Puerto Rico, where the first stop was at the Gabriel Mistral High School. I had been invited to speak to the students there and also to the faculty, students about overcoming fears, which is an issue following the 2 hurricanes which have caused such problems in Puerto Rico over the last more than a year now. The teacher who invited us was, in addition to being a theosophist and an Aikido master and a full-time teacher, is blind. And he's quite an example to the other student and faculty there. It was a well-appreciated stop at the school. Then we had several meetings at the Theosophical Society's headquarters. Beautiful building. Fortunately, they escaped some of the damage of the hurricanes that had caused so much problems there. Old building that was built specifically for the use of the Theosophical Society. Magali Polanco is the head of the group there and longtime leader and longtime central figure. We had a number of wonderful meetings together, and as with every place in the Caribbean, music was a part of it. Our next stop was Havana, Cuba, and the group there, which is a fascinating place to see. I have longed to be in Cuba for many, many years, and to be able to attend and to be guided by members there of this very active section that dates all the way back to 1905. First thing you see when you come in is this statue, Thought Breaking Its Chains. It's a lovely headquarters building that they have had for many years and has been the focus for 8 different groups who meet there regularly. We also had a little chance to do some sightseeing, which downtown Havana and some of the outlying areas are beautiful in terms of historic architecture, in terms of the music of the place, and probably everyone knows the cars. Since the days of the American blockade of trade, cars dating back from 1959 and earlier you see all over the streets, and the occasional Russian-made car. That's one of the fascinating little features of the place. Also, everywhere you go, there are slogans related to the revolution and to Fidel Castro. This one states about the revolution is a force more powerful than nature. Not only did we hear music, we had some musicians contribute to playing it. And the art that you find in Cuba is second to none. As I said, everywhere throughout Latin America we were serenaded, and Cuba was no exception. After the meetings, always had a chance for some good conversation with some of the members there. A number of young members got a chance to talk, and had a chance to talk about some difficult subjects as well. All in all, it was a wonderful visit with some really dedicated theosophists who have shown their dedication and deepened their practice in difficult circumstances. From Cuba, it was on to San Salvador in the country of El Salvador for some meetings at the Teotl Lodge. Teotl meaning the great divine being. They have a beautiful lodge headquarters, which they have had for many years. It's also an older section. 1910 it was founded. Beautiful gardens surrounding it, growing guava and mangoes and many other things. Had a first-rate translator, as it seems I was fortunate to have translators of high quality everywhere I went, and our hosts were excellent. Music was again a feature, and this time panpipes and guitar. Even my translator couldn't help himself, and he picked up the guitar and he got into the act. And of course, not to be outdone, after being given a flute that was made by one of the musicians that evening, I did my part as well. Initially, we had intended to stop next in Nicaragua, but the social unrest that was present at the time prevented us from doing that, so we went on to the final stop in our tour, Costa Rica, which is really one of the most beautiful countries that you will find. A lot of active volcanoes, and we went to visit more than one. Irazu volcano was the first stop on our volcano tour, and we went up to the principal crater. Really, it looks something like a moonscape around there from all of the dust and the volcanic ash that has accumulated over time. Coming back from the volcano, we also got to see the National Basilica, which was the site of a miracle which marks the history of Costa Rica. And it involved this figure that was found on this rock in a very miraculous way. So that is a center of religious activity and healing activity. Symbols of all the different things people have come for healing. Eyes, nose, job, help in the jobs, help with children are all symbolized by these various amulets that you find in the church. Then it was the Theosophical Society for a series of meetings with the various groups that also meet in the Virya Lodge. The Virya Lodge was the original lodge that was formed in Costa Rica, and their building is right in central downtown San Jose. I had a chance to celebrate their 114th birth date while we were there, and there were speeches that were given by the various representatives of the different lodges, and also, of course, there was music. But then our host, Ligia Montiel, also had a chance to speak, and then also some historic presentation, fascinating historic presentation by a highly noted Central American author, actually from Mexico. Every night there was food. This particular night there was also a 114th birthday cake celebrating the Virya Lodge. My translators were all excellent, and the meetings were well attended. One of the highlights of the trip, which I did not have a chance to photograph, was a meeting with 15 doctors at the hospital, speaking to them about a variety of subjects related to stress, neurosurgeons and psychiatrists. This remarkable woman, Anne Aronson, is the founder of the European School, and she had invited me also to speak to their students, and again about the subject of fears and dealing with fears. The meeting was quite well received by the students and by the teachers, many of whom stayed afterwards to talk. While in Costa Rica, made an opportunity to visit with Eleanor Dettiger, longtime friend and a true visionary. She's founded an organization she calls El Minifundo, in her typically humble way, Little Farm. And it's a interreligious, global-minded effort. She really thinks on a planetary scale and is doing just wonderful things down there and has been for years. Really a remarkable woman. So Costa Rica, the various groups, the various people, the work that they've been doing was eye-opening for me. As with all of our groups, there are things that we are struggling with, but they're doing it quite well. And I'm really quite proud to have the opportunity to have been there with them.